Ever had one of those days where you know exactly what you need to do, but your brain just refuses to cooperate? You've got the goal, the task, the plan, but somehow taking action feels like walking through wet cement. It's not laziness, it's not lack of discipline, and here's the twist, it's probably not your fault. Because what if I told you that the real problem lives deep in your brain? And it has everything to do with a chemical you've heard of, but probably misunderstood. Welcome to Wired for Facts. I'm your host, Victoria, and today we are talking about dopamine. And this episode might just change the way you think about motivation forever. I'm excited to get started, but first, let's clear something up right away. Dopamine is not your brain's pleasure chemical, as you very likely have heard others claim. It's actually your motivation chemical. Yep, you heard me right. You do, of course, get a small dopamine increase when you eat foods like chocolate or when you scroll TikTok, which is what makes those things addictive. But that's not the whole story. The most important dopamine spike actually happens before the reward, not after. Your brain releases dopamine when it anticipates something that feels good, not when it receives it. So dopamine is about wanting that pleasure-inducing reward. And that wanting is what gets you off the couch, focused, and taking action. So tell me in the comments, were you surprised to learn that dopamine isn't actually the feel-good chemical and that it's really the motivation chemical? I was pretty intrigued when I did my research, but let's dig even deeper together. Dopamine acts a lot like your brain's internal GPS. It predicts which actions will lead to rewards and motivates you to go after them. Scientists call this reward prediction. It's your brain adjusting its expectations in real time. So what happens if a task turns out better than expected? Your dopamine response spikes up higher, and if the outcome of your actions was worse than expected, the dopamine signal drops. That's how your mind and body learns what's worth it and what's not. Now here's where it gets really fascinating. A 2025 NIH-funded study gave participants tasks of varying difficulty and tied rewards to each of these tasks. Those with naturally higher dopamine levels in the caudate nucleus, which is a part of the brain involved in motivation, were much more likely to choose the more difficult but also more rewarding tasks. The ones with lower dopamine levels, these people became frustrated by how hard the tasks seemed, and most opted out completely. Then researchers gave those low dopamine folks methylphenidate, better known as Ritalin, which works to block dopamine reabsorption into nerve cells and therefore boost dopamine levels. And suddenly, the people with previously lower dopamine levels started choosing to do the harder tasks, not because they suddenly got smarter, but because the perceived cost of effort dropped. Dopamine shifted their motivation math. This also in part explains apathy, a clinical symptom in Parkinson's and depression where even small tasks feel impossible to take on. It's not just low energy, it's the brain sending the signal that it's just not worth it. So if you're struggling with motivation, the problem may not be your mindset or that you are lazy. It might be a dopamine imbalance affecting how your brain weighs effort and reward. And by the way, that inner battle you fight every day to just get going on something important, it's often your brain's reward system stuck in low gear. Dopamine isn't just influencing your mood, it's actually shifting how appealing effort feels. So now that we know what is happening, let's talk strategy. How can you work with your dopamine system instead of struggling with all your might and fighting it? Here are 6 science-backed ways to get your motivation engine running again. First, break big goals into smaller steps. Big tasks can feel overwhelming. Your brain sees high effort and delays gratification. But when you break them down, each completed step triggers a mini dopamine release. That small win makes the next step easier. Next, track your progress visually. Use a physical to-do list, a habit tracker, or a journal. Every time you check something off, you're reinforcing progress. That's reinforcing your wins and gets dopamine signaling, "Nice job, keep going," to your body. Thirdly, use micro deadlines. Instead of one big deadline, just like with your goals, break your time spent on tasks into shorter bursts. 25 minutes to write, 10 minutes to tidy up. Hitting that mini goal gives your brain a burst of success. Over time, this builds momentum. The fourth step is to visualize the outcome. Spend a minute imagining how amazing it'll feel to be done. This creates an anticipatory dopamine hit enough to tip you into action. Step 5 is to fuel your brain. You need iron, B6, folate, and protein to make dopamine. Foods like leafy greens, berries, eggs, and nuts all help. So does sunshine, sleep, and yes, moving your body. Even a brisk 10-minute walk each day can nudge your dopamine up naturally. Finally, protect your attention. Constant scrolling and multitasking trains your brain to seek out quick micro-rewards, not long-term payoff. Give your dopamine system time to reset by choosing low-stimulation habits spaced out through your day. Try a walk, a book, coloring, drawing, or journaling instead of a dopamine-heavy screen binge of short videos. And here's a bonus tip that's incredibly underrated: create daily rituals. When you start your day with a predictable pattern, like stretching, journaling, or even making your coffee the same way, your brain learns to associate that routine with productivity. Over time, your dopamine system starts firing just from the cue that it's time to focus. This is habit stacking in action, and it works wonders. These aren't just life hacks. They're healthy, science-backed, sustainable ways to build a brain that's wired for follow-through. And finally, I have a couple key secrets to share that will seriously kick dopamine into high gear so that you can become your most motivated and productive self. But first, let's quickly summarize what we just learned. Motivation isn't just about willpower. It's the result of your brain running a cost-benefit analysis with dopamine in the driver's seat. If the reward feels worth the effort, you take action. If it doesn't, you procrastinate, even when you want to want it. It's not lazy or a flaw in your personality, it's chemistry. But now that you understand it, you can work with it. You can train your brain to seek effort, embrace progress, and chase the right rewards. That's not just a mindset shift. That's a wiring upgrade. So here is the secret sauce worth remembering. Dopamine doesn't work in isolation. It works hand in hand with your environment, your habits, and your stress levels. Chronic stress exposure, poor sleep, doom scrolling, and excessive multitasking can all disrupt healthy dopamine signaling. If your work environment is chaotic, if your notifications are endless, or if you're burning the candle at both ends with errands, in relationships, and so on, your brain is going to start saying, "Why bother?" So it's not just what you do or how you eat, it's how you live. Take stock of your environment. Does your space support focus? Do your routines leave room for rest? Is your screen time aligned with your goals? Are you eating nutritious food and getting some exercise? These are the kinds of influences dopamine cares about, even if we don't always notice it. So if you've been feeling flat, unmotivated, or stuck in a loop of, "I know what I need to do, but I'm not doing it," it's not a moral failure. It's a signal that your dopamine system might need attention. Just remember that the good news is you're not stuck. With consistent habits, a supportive routine, and a better understanding of how your brain works, you can absolutely change the equation. Motivation isn't magic. It's chemistry plus strategy. And here's the beautiful part. The more you show your brain that effort is rewarding, the more it will want to put in effort. This becomes a loop, a good one, a motivation loop you can actually control. So start small, stay consistent, and let your dopamine system rediscover what it means to chase goals that matter. If this episode helped connect a few dots for you, be sure to share it with someone who's been beating themselves up for not being motivated. And next time on Wired for Facts, we're diving into something a little more life or death. how to survive getting lost in the desert or trapped outside in a deadly heat wave. The science is shocking, and knowing these facts could save your life or the life of someone you love, so you won't want to miss it. Make sure to like and subscribe so you are notified when the next knowledge drop happens. Until then, stay curious and stay wired for facts.